Is good, Defenders Nation, and welcome to episode 344. That's right, of the most LAFC podcast on earth. Good evening, everybody, and happy Wednesday to all of you from Defenders of the Bank, to all of you. Thank you so much. You know my voice. It's the Scarf, J.R. Liebert, coming to you live from Lawndale. And of course, joining me across the interwebs with what looks like a newly decorated backdrop with a couple of sweet shirts, a scarf that I'm rather fond of as well. I give you LAFC Laugh, Chris Lafferty, everybody.
Good evening, JR. It is great to be back with you. I'm so happy to be here.
Dude, I love having you. This has been so much fun. I do believe that we are going to get a Philly sighting tonight for everybody who has been wondering where one Christian Philly Philemon is. First of all, if you're wondering where he was, you didn't watch last episode because he came in just guns a-blazing, storming in a la Philly 316, like only he can. He will be joining us at some point tonight. For everybody in the chat, again, thank you for joining us, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or anywhere else that you get your Defenders of the Bank content. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We want to remind everybody, if you could, head on over to defendersofthebank.com. Check out all our fun, cool merch that we have. Give us a follow on all your social media. We would love to have you in our lives as much as possible. Normally, we talk about the Mo Facio Futsal Court fundraising effort in Southeast LA. And of course, we will, at the top of our episode, head on to LAFC.com/Mo-Facio. And we want to also highlight something else that I unfortunately didn't get to see because I got to the stadium way too late. But Chris Lafferty, there is a new mural on the north end wall that we got to talk about as well.
I saw it for the first time on Saturday, and the pictures on Instagram looked great, but seeing it in person was just stunning. I mean, look, Mo was an awesome man. He was very, very special to a lot of people. I still have the Mo armband that was given out a few years ago. And, I'll wear this for a lot of like Black and Gold Running Club events or a lot of LAFC events that he would have been a part of or that are centered around him. Just, it's awesome to see the club embrace somebody like him, even a few years after he's been gone. Truly, it warms your heart to realize that when they say never forgotten, they mean it.
Yeah, look, Mo Facio, for so many people out there, was the reason why you felt more connected to this club. Mo literally took me aside in 2020 and said, dude, I don't know why you guys don't set up at every single tailgate. You guys are there. You guys put in the work. You guys belong. We want you guys here. And so because of Mo, in 2020, we began to set up regularly at every single tailgate. And honestly, if not for Mo, I don't know that we would have felt that push to really be included in that way at tailgate. Everybody, by the way, since then, absolutely incredible. We're usually right there next to our neighbors, the Cuervos. I mean, it's been absolutely incredible. Unfortunately, I will never forget my birthday in 2021 because that was when I awoke to find out the news that Mo had unfortunately passed due to COVID-19. We knew that Mo was sick a couple of days earlier and that things were not going well, and I kind of dreaded waking up on my birthday. But that being said, Mo has inspired all of us. Mo has inspired everybody involved with LAFC to be better people while we are there. And certainly this mural in the North End, everybody should go take a look at it. I'm certainly going to do that when I'm there at the stadium on Saturday for our match against NYCFC. So again, Mo, our thoughts are always with you. And again, let's get that court fundraised, if that is a verb, and fully funded so that we can get out there, out in Cudahy, and play a little kickabout on Mo's futsal court. You guys know how we'd like to start things off. We do a little This Day in LAFC history and some news and notes. One big unfortunate news and note for, at least for me, and I know Chris Lafferty, I thought of you as well when this one happened, so we'll talk about it in just a second. We want to remind everybody, if you're not already, please follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at Defenders of the Bank. That's bank with a C. And on X or Twitter or whatever we're calling it at Defend the Bank. Carlos Vela back in the chat, which is nice. He's letting us all know that his jerseys are still at HQ and his scarves. Appreciate that, Carlos. So let's get into This Day in LAFC history. We got a couple of birthdays. Of course, the match happened on February 25th. And a couple of birthdays on February 25th. One club legend and one club not so much a legend. Kimberly Caldwell Harvey, who now just goes by Kimberly Harvey, the wife, of course, of Jordan Harvey. It was her birthday yesterday. Happy birthday to not just the wife of Jordan Harvey and an incredible singer, but I think she is now the official Canadian national anthem singer of LAFC. She has been for years and years and years. Steve in the chat now as well. Thank you, Steve. Hi. So happy birthday to Kimberly Caldwell Harvey. And it's also El Agua Pistolero's birthday. That's right. September. February 25th, 1996. Happy birthday to El Agua Pistolero, Mario Gonzalez, club legend. Mario Gonzalez.
I'm going to do something that is a first on probably this podcast and maybe in LAFC fandom. I'm going to speak highly of the guy.
Okay, I'll try not to mute you. Go ahead.
No, there was this was when he was with us in 2023 in his brief stay. There was a wonderful event from the LAFC Foundation making sandwiches and lunch bags and stuff to distribute to the homeless people throughout Los Angeles. And Project Lunch Bag was the organization. And he came and he spent a couple of hours with us, packing up lunches, writing notes to people, really doing some great work out there. You know, the guy came in on a week. Look, yeah, I think he knew not a lot of people were fans of him or cared. But you know what? He came out and he was really nice, chatted with everybody. So, hey, you know what? When I met him, it was while he was lending a helping hand. So, Mario, happy birthday, my friend.
I'll take Cinemoji, the mascot for Cinnamon Toast Crunch, over Mario Gonzalez any day of the week and twice on Sunday. Thank you very much.
Well, great. Get Cinemoji out there to help us with lunch bags. And
I will say, hashtag lunch bag, a great organization.
Yeah,
they are absolutely fantastic. My middle school that I work with, we've worked with them. LAFC, of course, has worked with them. I actually sat with John Thorrington's children and helped fill lunch bags and decorate lunch bags for a little bit. Hashtag lunch bag, a fantastic organization. So yeah, absolutely. All about Mario Gonzalez helping out. Also on the 25th in 2018, technically, LAFC earned their first ever win in their fourth preseason game in team history. It was 1-0 over Sacramento Republic, all the way up in Sacramento at Papa Murphy's Park in Sacramento, California. And it was our draft pick, Joao Moutinho, scoring the game-winning goal in the 60th minute so that LAFC could get their first ever win as a club, even though it was preseason. Obviously, it doesn't count. It was also technically our first road match, too, that we ever played, which is kind of cool. Also on February 25th, good Lord, easy for me to say.
September, October,
whatever.
May.
Wake me up when September ends.
Pick a month.
On February 25th, 2019, ESPN Plus debuted that 10-part series, We Are LAFC, highlighting the first season of LAFC football. And to me, that's really what put LAFC on the map in terms of the content that we create. The LAFC content creators out there, whether it's on YouTube or whether it's for all of our other social media, platforms that LAFC is on, LAFC produces the best content of any club in Major League Soccer. It is absolutely incredible. By the way, also on that day, not only did ESPN debut the 10-part series We Are LAFC, but on February 25th, 2019, Twitter debuts the LAFC emoji icon, and LAFC acquired my player with probably the favorite nickname that I've ever given anybody of all time. That would be 3 umlauts, Nico Hamalainen, on a 6-month loan from Queens Park Rangers. There you go. And look, today's the 26th. LAFC, they opened their Twitch account today. Because, yes, I keep track of things like this. In 2019, LAFC started their Twitch account. And that is all. That's all I have for this day in LAFC history. Devastated. Devastated is all I have to say about the news and note that we are about to cover. Chris Lafferty was our on-site correspondent at the Coachella Valley Invitational. He was out there covering the LAFC match. He was out there covering several other matches. He was out there having a wonderful time at the Coachella Valley Invitational. And he ran into a gentleman wearing a Defenders of the Bank shirt, the Adidas logo shirt that we have out there, just in case. It's the 3-Stripe Life logo that we have. Would you like to tell everybody, first of all, who was that in the Defenders of the Bank shirt?
So I'm looking, I see this guy wearing a Defenders shirt, and I go, wow, he's better than I am. I'm not even wearing a Defenders shirt, and I'm there for you. So I go over and I just say, excuse me, I'm Chris. I'm helping cover for Defenders of the Bank today. JR couldn't make it. Scarf couldn't make it. Just saw your shirt. Wanted to say I love the shirt. And he was like, oh, that's so cool. We love that. We love the show. We listen all the time, and we really appreciate everything that you have to say about our son. And I'm like, our son? What? And they go, oh, yeah, our son's Luca Bombino. I'm like, oh, so it's Luca's parents, big fans of the show. Oh, and they were, by the way, just the sweetest people, like just super, it's just so nice. Yeah, so they're walking around wearing your shirt, chatted with them for a few minutes, and you really enjoyed meeting them. Sad to see that Luca's no longer with us, but hey, want to wish the best to him. All the best to his parents, and best of luck down in San Diego.
Man, so that's the news that we've got to talk about. Luca Bombino not only loaned to San Diego FC, they announced that they loaned Luca Bombino to San Diego FC in exchange for a 2025 international roster spot, which, by the way, seems like a solid return on that investment early on, but poo on it because I'd rather have Luca Bombino. But when we get an international roster spot like that, it must mean someone is coming. But the part that I didn't like at all is the next sentence, which says from LAFC, the loan, which begins immediately, runs through 2025 and provides San Diego with a permanent transfer option. I have no problem telling all of you out there, all of the black and gold faithful, the millions,
and millions,
that if Luca Bombino plays for San Diego FC, I will always cheer for him. Okay? I always want this kid to do well. I absolutely love him. He has been so much fun to watch over the course of his rise from the academy. He's a former academy player who signed his homegrown contract, his first-team contract with LAFC, September 13th of last year. And I was really hoping that we'd be able to watch Luca Bombino at least play a game for the black and gold, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen, at least for this year. Also, I want to remind everybody that LAFC 2's first match is coming up next Sunday, March 9th. That's against Whitecaps 2 at Titan Stadium, 7 p.m. So make sure next Sunday, March 9th, you guys are checking that out. And I do want to say real quick on my end, a very special thank you, and this is why I love the podcast community at LAFC so much. Obviously, there's Heart of LAFC who have been the OGs and have been around for forever. We've done it for a little bit. We miss our friends at Shoulder to Shoulder. And of course, Happy Foot, Sad Foot, who has joined the podcast community, I guess, relatively recently, but they've been around for forever now. Want to say thank you to the guys at Happy Foot Sad Foot for gifting me one of their scarves. I do feel the love from our friends over at Happy Foot Sad Foot. We love you guys so much, and this is a very, very proud scarf in my collection now. A big thank you to our friends over at Happy Foot Sad Foot. Wonderful guys. Give them a listen. Give them a chance. They are fantastic and pretty funny guys too. And of
10
course,
minutes after the final whistle, 10 minutes after the final whistle of every game, they go live. Watched them last night. Had a blast in the chat with those guys.
yeah.
Our buddy Vince there too, who's been on this show. He's one of the trios over there. Awesome guys.
Love that. Yeah. And again, really, really good guys. So check them out. Check out all of the different great LAFC podcasts that are out there. Of course, the OGs, Heart of LAFC. We love those guys more than anything. Want to also remind everybody that for all your ACFC needs, make sure to follow at Angel City Chicks on all your social media platforms. Their season will be coming up in just a little bit. Yeah, Rob, Rob Risley. Yes, if you listen to our show, you know that other than the occasional Philly rant when he goes off the rails just a little bit, that we are family friendly on our show. You can't quite listen to Happy Foot Sad Foot in the same way that you listen to us if you've got kids. Not as family friendly at times. I know sometimes Heart of LAFC, not family friendly as well, but they do it a little bit less than our good friends over at Happy Foot Sad Foot. But it is always fun to have them on. Look, you need a little bit of everything, right? That's why it's so much fun. So I got there like 6:30, 6:35. The match was a Tuesday in the middle of traffic and everything else. And I got to our seats, and it was a ghost town, like 15 minutes before the match. Lafferty, I don't know. Bam, he says that's my fault at Heart of LAFC. Bam, you definitely contribute to part of that. We absolutely love you, buddy. I can't wait till you're in town in just a couple of weeks. I am like a squirrel with ADD right now. Chris Lafferty, your experience, you were at the game, right? No? Yes? I don't remember if you went to the game or not.
No. I watched from the comfort of my own home. I was actually right here. I was rearranging my room and set up this backdrop. So I was pulling double duty, following along, and getting the studio set up for you.
There you go. All right. So, yeah, I got there. It was a ghost town, and it was a ghost town up until maybe 15, 20 minutes after kickoff, where fans started to really file in. I know there was some sort of an issue with one of the gates kind of being backed up again, and fans having to spend a little bit more time on their way in. But I will say this, by halftime and then by, obviously the entire second half, the 32-52 was incredible. They sounded great from the jump, and all the seats started to fill in. They announced a sold attendance of like 17,000, which was pretty cool. I never allowed Chris Lafferty to elaborate on the set that was behind him. So Chris, we're going to try this all over again. Can you talk for a second about the two shirts that are up there behind you?
Yeah, and thanks in the chat for our buddy King Lachero for pointing it out too. Look at these shirts. Scarf, where can they buy shirts again?
And that'd be defendersofthebank.com. Our good buddy Dexter Quinn designed both of those shirts. The font from the Cinerama Dome. We try and do like little LA Easter eggs. And the font from the Cinerama Dome was the inspiration behind the shirt that is on the left. And of course, the original Universal Studios sign was the inspiration for the Philomonster Studio sign. Or the Philomonster Studio shirt. So the chat is not helping my ADHD for sure. Now that Denise Wonga is also in the chat. It's rough right now for me, guys. I worked from 7:30 to about 7 today, almost a 12-hour day, taught 5 classes, had 2 games after, and then had tutoring. I tutored somebody at like 5:30 to 6:30. So, oh my goodness, it has been an awful lot. We're going to try to focus on the chat and give you guys all of the information that we can for all the questions that you're asking. What sections are going to be LAFC at Snapdragon Stadium? Not sure yet, but more news on that to come. And also
all of them.
news on
taking over.
Yeah, any news on Şengis Under? Nothing yet for him. All right, so we're back. So yeah, it was a late arriving crowd, but you and I both got a kick out of our honorary Falconer anytime that we get to scream at the top of our lungs, football is life. Then life is a good day. We love Danny Rojas, Cristo Fernandez from the Ted Lasso, and he was our honorary Falconer. But you and I both know, Chris, from all of the times that we have spent at the stadium, he's been an OG since like 2021 for the last 4 or 5 seasons now.
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw him was in 2021, and thought that was cool. That was kind of like my first introduction to him. I jumped on the Ted Lasso train late, but you see him around all the time too. I mean, not only will they show him on the screen, but after games, I bumped into him at the Sunset Club when that was a thing for everyone. He would just be hanging out up there. Was in the elevator with him one time, and yeah, you see him around. Really nice guy. Like if you stop and chat with him or say hello, he's got that Danny Rojas wonderful personality shines through Cristo Fernandez. So yeah, if you ever see him, say hi. He's a cool guy.
Jacob Contreras, I'm putting your comment up on the screen, but I will not say it out loud because it's mean, and I agree. Want to remind everybody that Danny Rojas, according to Jacob Contreras, and Olivier Giroud have the same amount of goals for LAFC. There you go. Real quick, one thing I want to make one quick correction on something I said a podcast or two ago when we were talking about the parking situation at BMO Stadium. I got my owners of the parking mixed up. I did say that the city of Los Angeles owns the parking. It's actually, I believe,
State of California, right?
I believe it's the state of California. Yeah. It's the state of California. That was my fault. I was erroneous on all counts. That was completely my fault. It's not the city, but more importantly, it's not LAFC that owns the parking. Yeah. It's the state of California. So when you see all of those ridiculous prices and all of the uses of what is, like, for right now, the green lot is in use because of, by the way, California Wildfire Resource Management. That's what's going on over in that parking lot. I believe it's the first responders have resources that they are staging. What's up, Mike Gray? In that green lot. So that is why that's why they don't have the availability for the green lot. Okay. Last thing I'll say before we get into a little minute by minute, not minute by minute, a little half by half, because it was a rough first half. Rundown of the match. We are absolutely going to discuss the alleged controversy comments issue after the 85th minute. Mark Delgado in the chat now. I love this chat so much today. The comments allegedly said by one Sergi Palencia to defender Chidozie Awaziem. It was talked about in the press conference, as one might imagine, on both sides. We got Chris Armas's take on it. We got obviously Steve Cherundolo's take on it. We also got a couple of players when we asked, they had no idea about what happened with that. We will certainly touch on that, though, before the end of the episode. So stick around because we'll talk about it towards the end. Let's get into the lineups for the match against Colorado. For Colorado, it was head coach Chris Armas, obviously an MLS legend and somebody who knows Steve Cherundolo and gets along with Steve Cherundolo very, very well. They came out in what Chris Armas said was kind of a shot in the dark. It was a 4-3-3, who even in Chris Armas's words, when he said Colorado didn't really train in a 4-3-3 all that often in the preseason. It is not what they normally run, but they thought that in the 4-3-3, they might be able to eliminate more of what LAFC does well, according to Chris Armas, take away a little bit more of our options. And so he comes out in a 4-3-3 that, by the way, still looked a little bit like a 4-2-1-3 at times, or, you know, all kinds of different hybrid stuff. But goalkeeper Zach Steffen, who did enough, I guess, to keep his team in it. defender Reggie Cannon, which I know I wasn't happy to see Reggie Cannon on the pitch because he is a fantastic defender, but I was happy to see Reggie Cannon on the pitch because it meant he didn't blow out his knee against LAFC up there in the cold. And I never want to see somebody's season or potentially career end. So there's definitely that. Also on the back line, Ian Murphy and Keegan Rosenberry, because the Rosenberries taste like Rosenberries. In the midfield, Oliver Larraz, Josh Atencio, and Cole Bassett. Josh Atencio, the only different starter in the 11 for this Colorado LAFC match than was the match up in Colorado where they started Omir Fernandez. And up top, Georgi Mihailovic, designated player Kevin Cabral, and Rafa Navarro, the players who we would see come off the bench onto the pitch out of the 18 for Colorado were DJ Calvin Harris, not related, I don't believe, Alex Harris, Kamani Stewart-Baines, and Wayne Frederick. That was the 18 for Colorado. Lafferty, I promise I have double-checked the 18 for LAFC just in case you didn't, so I would not send you astray like I did before. For LAFC, it was kind of nice. We had a debut in the 18, by the way, too. But take us through the 11 for LAFC.
I'm glad you did that because you know me. Go something, San Diego. Yes, so for LAFC, in goal, we had Hugo Lloris. In front of him, we had Sergi Palencia, Aaron Long, and Eddie Segura. Ryan Hollingshead as well playing in the defense. In the mid, we had Igor Jesus, Timothy Tillman, and my guy, Mark Delgado. And up front, we had an interesting attack of David Martinez, Olivier Giroud, and Denny Bouanga. Now in the 18, the ones who we saw action later on in the game in the match were the old razzle-dazzle himself, Nathan Ordaz. That nickname is going to stick, I promise. Marlon, Jeremy Abobasi, and Nkosi Tafari. Also dressed were Hasal, Ochoa, Wabowo, Saldana, Yayaboa, and Jude Terry, and number 29, Artem Smolyakov, getting in right under the wire, too, making this match.
Yeah, it was nice to see Artem out there running around, you know, doing the cone drills and the leg drills and the stretchy stretches and everything else that the 18 does before they are looking to take the pitch. He'll be wearing number 29, Artem Smolyakov. He is the Ukrainian left back that we signed just before the start of the regular season. And this would be his first time in an 18 for LAFC. Also, Jude Terry, who's not even 18 yet in the 18 for LAFC. Kid is 16 years old, and he is going to be fun to watch if we are able to get him out there on the pitch. And I can tell you, he's a midfielder, and we could use a little bit of midfield help right now. So I don't know if the 16-year-old's the answer, but I do think midfield's played perfectly fine. I mean, look, I think our MVPs of the season so far are Mark Delgado and Igor Jesus, if you're asking me. But it's maybe that third midfield spot. As much as I love the way that Timmy played in this match, there were just a couple of things where I feel like, still wondering, by the way, LAFC has not released any short-term contract press releases regarding, in this match's case, Adam Saldana, who wears number 43, or for Kenny Nielsen, who was in the 18 for the last two matches wearing number 45. They are both members of LAFC 2 under contract, so they would have to have some sort of short-term contract to be in our 18. And then we played a first half that was mind-numbingly awful. It was just boring. It was lifeless. It was rough. And somehow Colorado was as bad, if not worse. Rafa Navarro came out early, took a couple of shots that, a little off target. LAFC had a couple moments, one from Igor Jesus, one from David Martinez. It was a bad first half. It was a bad, boring, frustrating first half. Chris Lafferty, are you frozen? There we go. You're back. Okay.
Yeah, I'm back, baby.
Your thoughts on the first half?
Well, what I found more interesting than the first half was Artem Smolikov wears number 29, last worn by Danny Musovsky, and worn before that from 2001 Chicho Arango. So that was a fun stat. That was probably the most fun that I had figuring that out, that I did watching the first half. I think it was if you go back and listen to Steve's press conference, he was asked a couple of times about the first half specifically and pointed out basically that, yeah, he wasn't really happy with it and kind of just said straight up, like, wasn't really happy with how the players were playing, thought maybe they went in. What did he say?
Well, he said they came out nervous, right? 15,
Nervous,
20 minutes.
yeah. Which was kind of surprising to me. But I mean, I think maybe that they understood the stakes. If you don't win or you don't allow if you allow some certain scenarios to happen, then you're out of the tournament. And here we are, both times that we've played in the CONCACAF tournament, we've made it all the way to the finals. And so to lose in the first round would have been pretty devastating for a lot of these guys as well. There's a rep to protect. And so maybe they were just feeling that crunch is all I could think when he said that. But I thought that was an interesting take from Steve that he would just outright say that. But I don't think it was bad, and I don't disagree. And I think that what he also mentioned was that about 20 minutes in, they kind of shook those nerves off and got going again. So that's good to see. That's probably my biggest takeaway of it, is that maybe if you're not feeling it right away, at least they're continually working and they're not ever phoning it in. They're always constantly trying to break that ice, whatever is in front of them.
Yeah, and I want to point something out. As bad as the first half was for LAFC in terms of our offense, if you look at us defensively so far this season, even the other match in Colorado, in that match, we did not allow a goal in the run of play. In this match, we did not allow a goal in the run of play. Obviously, we've done some things already this season that have shown that we very well could be one of the best, if not the best, defensive team in the league. Even when it came to defending Club America, who put most of their starters out there for the first 45 minutes or so, we defended really, really well. And I think that what we are doing is defending as well as we need to put ourselves in position for our offense to kind of bail us out a little bit. And I think that that's what we are going to need to do for at least the first half of the season. I firmly believe that we are one player away on each of our lines from becoming absolutely unstoppable. I think that the two-headed monster of Marlon and Eddie Segura, they're fine back there. They're doing what they need to do. In fact, Hollingshead had a little bit of a rough go, and then he redeemed himself with a fantastic defensive game last match. Eddie Segura led our team in touches in this match with 69 giggity touches, and he passed the ball at a 93% success rate on 60 passes. Eddie Segura quietly had a very solid game here, and he's had a tough time over the last year or so in finding himself. And I think that we are starting to be remade in a little bit more, and Ruben Rios said it right here, starting to be remade a little bit more in Steve's image. Steve was an absolute dog of a defender who, as an American, earned the nickname the Mayor of Hanover in Germany for the way that he played and ingratiated himself with the supporters of Hanover 96. And so I think what we're seeing, especially in a first half like this, I really do believe that because we were able to put the screws to Colorado defensively, it kind of made sense why Steve Cherundolo said, I felt like the goal was coming. I never felt like it was much in doubt, even though after that first half, I'm looking around going, where the heck are we going to get any offense It was absolutely abysmal offensively. But in the second half, what I like to see is some of the adjustments that Steve Cherundolo made and the way that he was able to make things work. But again, I think we're one person off on each line. Marlon Eddie Segura, I would really love one more quality center back. Obviously, in the midfield, Igor Jesus and Marky Delgado have been fantastic. Timothy Tillman hasn't been the best. And then lastly, up top, I don't know who I could be talking about, but we're missing a piece up top.
Well, look, the thing is with the back line and the defense, we have a guy who will be coming back soon, and it's Maxime Chanot, who last year was an anchor for us back there. Him and Aaron Long together were fantastic. The way that the season ended left a bitter taste in a lot of people's mouth about him, but that was one freak play that happened at the end of the 53rd match or whatever we played. The entire season, he was that understated anchor for us. So I think when we get him back, I think that's going to really shore us up a lot of options or shore up our options for us. And it's going to kind of just allow us to get that identity back, have that guy there who is that no-nonsense almost enforcer for us in the back line, and keep that going. Because, look, here's the thing with the defense. In our 3 matches played in competition between CONCACAF and MLS play to start the season, the only goals we've allowed were when it was 7 degrees and snowing up in Colorado. Right? You come back to Minnesota, clean sheet against a really hard attacking offense with Minnesota. Very quick, very speedy, and scary offense that they brought. Come back just a couple days later against Colorado, who's, it's do or die, and we shut them out. I mean, you have to be very happy with our defense because, sure, maybe there's things you can pick apart and say, oh, this isn't as great as we'd like it to be, or these guys are a little choppy up there, but we're still putting up zeros. So take it. And if we're only going to get better, that's great.
Yeah, and look, you guys are right in the chat. We've got Jeremy Ebobisse. He's played absolutely fantastically for us early on, scored the goal that we needed to already for us. So I think you could be right, except I'll be perfectly honest. The reason why I say we're missing one more piece on that front line is strictly because I believe that they're going to keep trying to force that square peg in that round hole for at least another 10, 15, 20 matches now. Olivier Giroud has now played 22 matches for this club. 22 matches. And in those 22 matches, he has 2 goals and 1 assist in about 1,250 minutes or so. But in 11 MLS matches and in 4 MLS Cup playoff matches, that's 15 matches total, he's registered 1 assist. In 2 Champions Cup matches, he's played 136 minutes, and he's registered absolutely nothing. And Philly has entered the chat.
Good evening to the millions.
And millions.
And millions!
There you go. There you go. There's the energy. Sorry I'm late, fellas. What's popping?
We're talking.
Just start talking about Olivier Giroud.
Who? I'm sorry, who? You would have to go back to his rookie season when he was in Liga 2 at his time in Grenoble to see him have far less goals or just about the same amount of goals that he's had with LAFC. I find it utterly blissful that Jeremy Ebobisse and Marky Delgado already have more goals than Olivier Giroud does. At this point, I think we should just lower our expectations of him. Oscar, I agree. Put him on the bench and let him come in and do what he once did for clubs like Arsenal. Come off the pine pony and then flipping contribute. The starts, not anymore, man. Not it, however far down the 3rd floor he is. I'm kind of over Olivier Giroud.
No, that's the tough part, right? Because we've seen Steve continue to start him, and it's been rough. We're gonna get to his numbers in just a second. Let's kind of meander into the second half, and then we can talk about maybe some changes that need to happen going forward. At halftime, Aaron Long comes off for Marlon, and according to Steve, Philly and I were there in the press conference. It was a precautionary sub, no injury, tightness. And then was it Scott that asked, was it the thigh? And Steve just kind of looks at all of us and goes, a little lower with like a grin. And we all just kind of sat there like, okay, hopefully you're good, Aaron. I don't know. So hopefully Aaron Long is okay. It was precautionary. And then you mentioned it. The reason why we can say that Mark Delgado now has more MLS goals in his MLS regular season career for LAFC than Olivier Giroud is due, in my opinion, in large part to David Martinez. That was a fantastic run up the right-hand side. He ran right at his defender, put all the pressure on his man, got around him to be able to make the low cross. And unfortunately, Olivier Giroud was just a step slow, but busting his butt through the middle of the park is Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. Mark Delgado slides down, beats his defender, gets a foot to it, slips it past Zach Steffen, and all we have to do now for the next 40 minutes or so is to hold a 1-0 lead, and we get to go play Columbus. What a big goal from Marky Mark.
This is where the interesting chemistry scenario happens, where we don't know who speaks next. I'll go right now. Just putting it out there. It's he's been very solid for us, and I think I saw this on social media. Somebody posted that I never thought I would say this quote, but Marky Delgado makes me not care or not miss Edward Atuesta. And I'm sure that's something you could probably agree with, Scarf, because I know Edward Atuesta was riding your not so happy Scarf bus. But it was a big goal, came at a really big time. But Colorado, man, just snake bitten by the officials. I'm sure you talked about it in the first half, that foul on Navarro by Eddie Segura. And then this second half, shortly after this Marky Delgado goal, and by the way, credit the youngster, David Martinez. That flick, had he scored that flick early in the first half, might have gone down as one of the nicest goals of the season. But snake bitten, yellow card, after yellow card, after yellow card. At some point, you got to look to yourself and go, what the hell is happening? Chris Armas did mention this in the press conference, that there were just way too many yellow cards. The officials were a little too trigger happy, dishing out the yellow. And obviously that had Colorado's goose cooked. But I got to give a shout out to Aaron Long, man. Just goes back to that goal that he scored in sub-freezing temperature. Holy moly, was that a game changer for us.
Well, yeah, and Philly, you're absolutely right. Look, we actually didn't talk about the Rafa Navarro play where he got taken down and it could have been a penalty. We also didn't talk about the David Martinez play where the referee blew the damn whistle when Chidozie Awaziem committed the foul instead of letting him play on for the advantage. I thought that both of those opportunities could have led to something for sure. But look, we talk about it all the time. When you leave it in the hands of the referees, that's on you, right? And you can't ever leave a game going, man, if only the refs called it. But Lafferty, what we saw was a run of 12 minutes of play, what Philly is talking about from the 60th minute on, where it was just yellow after yellow after yellow. And I don't know, I just saw Colorado trying to chase a goal. What did you think?
Well, it's hard to chase a goal when you're playing a little, maybe you got to be gun shy with how, knowing that you're under even more scrutiny. It's hard to really play your game when you kind of feel like the officials are against you. I think that they were, I mean, maybe they were chasing, maybe they just weren't sure. Maybe we just outplayed them too. But hey, look, when you have 4 yellows in 12 minutes, it's gonna mess with your head a little bit. So I think that definitely threw Colorado off their game, whatever they had planned for them. But if it had to be, we were gonna milk that 1-0 lead because we knew that's all we needed. And like I said before, maybe it's more a credit to our defense than anything Colorado was doing. But those four yellow cards just can't be not only not helpful, but I mean that's not something you can ignore. That's just
it completely affects your attack. You can't be aggressive when you're running that many cards. I mean, it just completely obliterates their ability to be a physical team. And they need to be physical. They have youth on their side. Some of those Colorado Rapids players, some pretty big boys. But now you've got the threat of a ton of these. And for those of you listening, I have several yellow cards in my hand that for some reason I've accumulated through my years being in indoor soccer. That's going to present the problem. I saw, who was it? Ruben in the chat talking about how these officials must have been trained by the Pretty Rancid officials group. Yeah, these CONCACAF refs were mierda. Scheisse is the term that we use in German. Not very good officiating in this game. And, well, it did work out in our favor, I suppose. But still, anyway.
It definitely did. And look, oh, by the way, in between those 4 yellow cards in the 60th, 61st, 66th, and 72nd minute, in between those, in the 70th minute, Steve decided to pull the plug on Olivier Giroud for this match with Jeremy Ebobisse coming in and Nathan Ordaz coming in for David Martinez. And look, maybe it's that we're just not using the number 9 position that well, but in Giroud's 70 minutes, he had 17 touches, 5 defensive actions, only 5 accurate passes, no shots, and no touches in the giggity opponent's box. But let's look at the 20 minutes that Jeremy Ebobisse played. He only had 4 touches and no shots in his 20 minutes. So over the course of 90 minutes, your number 9 is getting 21 touches, 0 shots, and 0 touches in the opponent's box. I don't know that that's okay from your number 9, regardless, in terms of how they're even being played into action in their spots. It's rough. And it's quiet. All right.
There's that interesting chemistry thing again that we gotta figure out. I'll tell you what, Scarf, to be a proper moderator, because you started the show, I will you run it just to make it easy. Say Chris or say Philly, and then I think that should easily redeem this.
Well, you know what? There's honestly not much more to talk about until we get to the moment that everybody is talking about, right? And we all kind of heard it unfold in the press conference, you and I, Philly. And Lafferty, I know you've been watching all the updates on social media as well. Look, the bottom line is this: in about the 85th minute, Chidozie Awaziem came over to the referee, started complaining. Referee came over to discuss things with Awaziem, with Sergi Palencia, and with both coaches. And basically, the statement from LAFC is that LAFC is aware of the reported incident during last night's CONCACAF Champions Cup match and is cooperating fully with the ongoing CONCACAF investigation. LAFC is a club for all and stands against hate in any form. We have spoken with our player, which again, Sergi Palencia, about the reported incident and will continue to respect the investigative process. And Philly, Steve said just as much when he was asked about it point blank in the press conference.
Yeah, I mean, there was so much confusion. We even had the luxury of pulling out the iPhone and going to Apple TV. Not even the broadcasters were made aware of exactly why we had as long a stoppage time. We live in a society where, you're free until proven innocent. Or wait, am I messing it up? I don't know.
Innocent until proven guilty.
The systems are so different these days, stacked up against us. But if this was true, and I want to give Palencia the benefit of the doubt, considering where he comes from and considering the diversity in our locker room, I would be thoroughly disappointed to know that he did use any kind of racial slur. I don't care that it's a heat of the moment kind of thing and words will fly out when angry and under duress. You should know better. All things considered, if he did say something awful, I mean, I'd love to see how that exactly impacts him within the locker room itself. There might be some players that don't necessarily look to Palencia the same way as they once did. And this, in terms of his playing ability, is unfortunate because he's really been a dependable player. But now if you're going to start to lose confidence from your teammates by saying stupid-ish, then that's a problem. But again, it's CONCACAF doing the investigating. So knowing CONCACAF will probably get the verdict on this and say, 2027.
Lafferty, your thoughts on the whole ordeal?
Yeah, there's so much that we don't know, and I think there's a lot of speculation as to what's the actual incident was and what was actually said. And so I really can't say much because I don't know what it is. But when all you're hearing it was a remark made towards a player, you your mind automatically goes to something racial, seeing as they were both of different races. And my only thoughts on this, I really can't elaborate more specifically on Sergi or the other player, because I don't know what was said, but I just think that in sports there should be a culture where once you're on the field, you're on the field with people who do the same thing as you. They compete, and there should be a modicum of respect. And whenever that's broken, I don't think that anybody, no matter how good at the sport you are, is immune to criticism or to punishment. And so I hope that maybe it's not what we were all thinking, but if it is, there's a lot of deep-rooted stuff that he's going to have to work out, and it's going to have not just an effect on the person he directed it to, but like Philly said, you're going to be around people who maybe would be affected by that as well. And, you really created a mess if it is what we've all been hearing. I hope it's not. I hope that it was something taken out of context or misheard. We don't know yet, but it's not looking good. And I just hope that it's not the worst, that what we're fearing, which is the worst, is not the case. But if it is, there's going to be a lot of reckoning, and deservedly so, if so.
Well, and look, I don't want to read tea leaves that aren't there, but I will say this. If I didn't say anything, I'd be the first to tell everybody and anybody that I didn't say anything, number one. But number two, what I enjoyed about the way our club approached it is that Steve said directly that we have no tolerance for anything like that. We are respecting the investigative process. And what we've seen, unfortunately, throughout Europe and in many other places is that race does become an issue, usually from the stands, right? I mean, we've seen some absolutely abhorrent things happen, especially in Serie A in Italy, which kills me because that's the national team I support. It's the league that I've watched probably closer than the other big four leagues, the other four leagues in Europe. Just some awful things. And as much as we love Sergi, I mean, Sergi has been our rock for the last year plus. And I know many of you out there listening as well. I would rather stand against racism, bigotry, hate speech in all of its forms than stand with a player wearing our crest who uses that type of speech. So look, it put a real damper on what was a very celebratory night, especially as late in the match as it did. But as soon as we hear something here on Defenders, or if LAFC releases a statement, whatever it might be, you'll hear from us. We'll give our take on it. And the bottom line is, I think all three of us are in agreement. Hate speech in any form by anybody out there is just intolerable, whether it's on the soccer pitch or anywhere else. So I'd much rather be an ally than stand by and hear it and not be a part of the solution.
I mean, there's just so many ways where you could interpret it, but I mean, let's look at the difference between Chidozie and Palencia. You're talking about a dude who's standing 6'4" from Nigeria, who's built like a rock, against a guy who 5'7", maybe 150 pounds wet. The guy's played in Portugal. The guy's played in Spain. The guy's played in Turkey. If there's anything, he's probably heard a lot worse out there. But for it to have affected him the way it did, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say maybe Palencia did say something awful to him. I don't anticipate this to be a dirty tactic to stall and get more time for the team because they were running out of it. And honestly, if that was the idea, that was a poor thing because they only got 6 minutes worth of stoppage. But a man of the stature of Chidozie, with where he's played at professionally and what he's done in his career, for something to have made him want to stop playing, I think it might be a lot worse than what we all know.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're absolutely right. And I know the chat is blowing up about it as well. And I don't think it's a question of being soft, right? I don't think it's a question of being woke. I don't think it's a question of, oh, come on, this goes on in Europe all the time or in wherever else all the time. No, stop. It doesn't. Because there are certain words, there are certain things, there are certain certain names that you can call certain people that mean something so much deeper than I'm upset at you for potentially pulling my head or neck back on the soccer pitch, which apparently is what they were saying. Maybe Sergi was retaliating because of something that happened to him on the pitch. And look, there are lots of other things you could have said. There are lots of other things you could have done. And again, we don't know that he has actually said anything yet. So again, innocent until proven guilty, but we want to hear all parties out and see what happens. But
the last thing I do want to say for the folks that are saying, well, this kind of stuff happens in Europe all the time. Yeah, but it does get addressed there too. Let's not forget how many times Vinicius Jr. has been the attack of so many things when Real Madrid heads into the opposition. They'll stop. And they obviously address things around those circumstances as well. So just because it happens somewhere else doesn't mean it should happen anywhere else. I mean, two wrongs don't make a right. A positive and a negative, I'm sorry, is still a negative. I mean, we could crunch the numbers any way you want. I'll win this battle. I got a math teacher who speaks Latin on my side. But at the end of the day, yeah, let's see what CONCACAF comes up with. That's the part that makes me think we're not going to get the exact scenario because it's CONCACAF. I don't have too much respect or what's the word I'm looking for? Confidence in anything CONCACAF does.
Yeah, and look, we saw the opposite side of this allegedly. It didn't wind up playing out that way from the investigation with Adama Diomande against Portland in 2019, where he was allegedly the subject of those remarks rather than the person saying them. And now LAFC kind of dealing with it in a little bit of a different way here. But look, the bottom line is, and Chris Armas was right, there probably should have been more than 6 minutes of stoppage time after they investigated all of this. They only got 6 minutes. And, oh, by the way, it wasn't after the 70th minute. I don't think they got one more shot off. Maybe they got one more for the entire rest of the match. An incredible job of closing out a club who was pushing and pushing and pushing because all they needed was a 1-1 draw in this after we went up 1-0 to eliminate us from CONCACAF Champions Cup. We brought on our closer, Nkosi Tafari, who we've been bringing in on all these matches to kind of close things out, all 6'4" jump out of the gym of Nkosi Tafari. So it's kind of fun to see him come in. But, I mean, an incredible defensive performance. We went 8-0-0 in home openers, and now we are 8-0-0 against Colorado at BMO, outscoring them 22-2 over the course of those matches. Let me ask first, Chris Lafferty, what were your highlights? What were your takeaways from this 90-minute performance?
Well, first and foremost, Mark Delgado's goal. Just great for him to get. Great to see him getting the goal. And I think it showed that he's going to create a midfield that is versatile with not only how it defends well, but it distributes and is a scoring threat. He's a guy that I think what people get lost with his previous affiliation where he played was that more so than where he came from, it's what he did there. And he is somebody that those guys miss for sure. And he's somebody with an engine, and he's somebody who is going to give 100% every time he steps onto the pitch, no matter who he plays for. And I'm sure glad that he plays for us now. So I think this was kind of a breaking out party for Mark Delgado. Whereas the first two matches, he was pretty solid. And this one, he really showed up and was able to get himself on the score sheet. So my big takeaway from him from this match was that I'm just happy for Mark Delgado and everything he was able to accomplish. And my other one that I want to say is, and this is going to be a record here, earlier in the show, Philly, you missed it, but I defended Mario Gonzalez, Mario G, which may be the first time in show history. But
oh my gosh, you're fired. I'm just kidding. What? All right, I'm gonna have to go back to watch that early part of it. Somebody defended El Pistolero.
Very compelling. Well, I'm also going to do another unpopular take here, and I'm going to say for Olivier Giroud, I'm not giving up on him. I don't think it's physical. I think it's mental. There is some sort of block that he's just got to work through, figure out, get comfortable with, let go, whatever, something. But it's got to be something that he can fix. I'm pretty sure it's just a mental block, And once you clear that, we're going to see the Olivier Giroud that we were promised, the Olivier Giroud we all expected, and the Olivier Giroud we all knew he could be. So, as I said before, I'm ever the optimist. I believe in our guys, and I believe in Olivier Giroud, even if nobody's with me.
And nobody is. Philly, you had some fantastic seats. What was your takeaway from this match?
My takeaway is that we are some lucky son of a guns to be advancing to the next round. Considering we didn't win the last time we played Colorado, we got lucky. Aaron Long bailed us out. Bailed us out. No question about that. And Colorado.
Garrett bailed us out.
Yeah, that guy did that too. I like that guy.
Sorry, Philly.
Oh, good. What did I say?
Aaron Long bailed us out.
Yeah, he totally bailed us out. And look, David Martinez had a solid game. We're lucky that Mark Delgado managed to find the back of the net because quite honestly, the first half, we looked And a lot of that I'm not going to necessarily pin on the way that we played. We also have to give our credit to the Colorado Rapids because they came out and played us well. They changed up their little system to a 4-3-3 yesterday, which is something that Chris Armas never deployed against us. We didn't really find much. We skated by. And that's great to be moving on to the next round. But fact of the matter is they can't put up performances like they've been putting up as of late and expect to make it deep in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. I don't care that the Columbus Crew doesn't look the same as they did a couple of years ago. I still think they're the better team, unless we obviously have the ability to prove it when we play them on March the 6th. NYCFC is going to be another interesting and compelling contest when we play them. Hell, they almost beat Miami. I don't know what to expect out of them. I do know that Santi is gone and he went to Botafogo, and apparently NYCFC got $17 million for him, which is pretty darn good. Still, Tati Castellanos, I like that guy. He's still the high runner. But the last thing I do want to say, we talk about Giroud. You could see even that close to the pitch how disconnected he was from everybody else. He would either get in the way, or he would be too slow, or he would run offside, or they just wouldn't pass him the ball. You're right. It probably is mental, and it's mental to think that maybe like his that he's going to get involved in it. I don't think the team has confidence in him, and it kind of shows with how they're disconnected when they try to get him involved at all. He should be lucky to get any touches. I get it. He is who he is. He'll put cheeks in seats. He'll sell jerseys, all that other jazz. But fact of the matter is, I think we are better with him coming off of the bench. Give him 10 to 15 minutes, come in with a scorpion-like goal, and be done with it. I would rather start somebody like a Jeremy Abobasi, David Martinez, and Denny Bouanga up top. That's what I'd want to run with.
Yeah, look, my biggest takeaways after this match is that after 3 matches, we're playing reasonably well. CONCACAF Champions Cup, obviously, we move on. And against Minnesota, we did everything we needed to do. But if you are expecting the LAFC of old, you are going to be waiting for a long while.
Agreed.
But what LAFC is doing is quietly transforming themselves into one of, if not the best defensive team in Major League Soccer. Colorado, as a club yesterday, had as many shots on target as Philly, Chris Lafferty, and myself. They had 0 shots on target for a 90-minute match. 0 shots on target for a match where they went down a goal and had to spend 20 minutes chasing one. It was an absolutely Herculean effort on defense by a club who is still coming together defensively. What we saw was Denis Bouanga and David Martinez tracking back time and time again. Igor Jesus, Timothy Tillman, and Marky Delgado becoming part of the defensive unit for LAFC, especially Igor Jesus, by the way. I absolutely love Igor Jesus on both sides of the ball. But for LAFC to have 0 shots allowed on target against Colorado, who, I mean, look, Georgi Mihailovic is the real deal. Rafa Navarro had 15 goals in MLS last season.
Yep.
These are guys that are legitimate goal threats every time they touch the ball. But LAFC didn't even allow a shot on target. And I think over 90 minutes, you tend to lose sight of those things because we're so worried about the fact that Olivier still has done an absolute abhorrent job of being a number 9, or that we're not starting out scoring 4 or 5 or 6 goals the way that, for example, Columbus Crew scored in their last match, 4 goals, including a brace by one Diego Rossi. I think there are certainly ills that are being shown time and time again on offense. But defensively, Ryan Hollingshead leading the team with 107 touches last game. Eddie Segura leading the team with 69 giggity touches this game. David Martinez creating 4 chances. The young kid is going to be the real deal. Offensively, we look terrible. Defensively, we look great right now.
No, yeah. So we're going to be some very low scoring games, and we're probably going to have a lot of ties. That's what I anticipate within this season. I mean, yes, it's great to have a defensive performance, but you got to have some stone cold killers. Last season, we had some stone cold killers. Thus far, haven't figured out that part yet. I mean, I know Denny's going to obviously start turning that on. Hopefully, David Martinez finds the knack for finding the back of the net, but yeah, I think we're going to be a much more defensive-oriented team that are really going to have to grind out results. A lot of ties and a lot of very close games.
Yeah, Philly, he was in the chat earlier. You know who would absolutely love the way that we are playing this season? That would be Giorgio Chiellini.
Oh, he was in the chat, was he?
Yeah, Giorgio was in the chat earlier. Denny Bawanga was in the chat earlier. Carlos Vela, Olivier Giroud.
Awesome.
So Steve Trundolo was in the chat tonight too. So
hey, very nice.
It's been quite fun. Philly, I can't let you off the hook. You just kind of glanced over it. The Pigeons are coming to BMO Stadium. How excited are you to be able to watch your old club?
Guy gets season tickets for like 6 months, and all of a sudden it's his old club. I have so much more of a history with LAFC. Yeah, all right, look, yes, I was in New York in 2015. Never had the idea that I was going to move to Los Angeles until it happened. I had those season tickets for NYCFC. In fact, there's the proof. There's the proof. The 2015 season ticket card. And that was pretty neat. You would kind of swipe this in and get in that way. But that being said, I harbor no love towards them. They helped indoctrinate me into the beautiful league of Major League Soccer. But to me, it's just cannon fodder, man. Just roadkill. That's exactly what I want to see happen to NYC FC. You know where my allegiances lie in terms of other sports, Scarf. But as far as soccer is concerned, it's LAFC or bust, man. At this point, LAFC's usurped all of the European clubs that I absolutely love. We don't have a great history with NYCFC. If you count friendlies, we played each other, 5 times? And the vast majority of those games have ended in draws. And with the way we've been playing, I'm pretty much anticipating that as well.
Yeah, look, most teams don't come out of the gate going, game on Saturday, game on Tuesday, game on Saturday, game on Tuesday. I mean, Jesus, it has been brutal. And oh, by the way, according to the Googles, we got a game Tuesday, March 4th against Columbus Crew at BMO Stadium.
I thought it was the 6th.
I mean, according to, if you Google LAFC schedule on the Google, right now they'll tell you it's Tuesday, March 4th. The club has not announced this, but at least it's out there. Even if it's the 6th, we're still talking about game.
Oh, yeah, you're right. March the 4th. Okay.
And again, the club hasn't announced it, so we don't know if that's true. I'll tell you what did happen. About 45 minutes after the match, as we're sitting in the press conference, the club already charged our credit cards for the next match. That's for sure.
Oh, crud, really?
Yeah, they did. Ramsey's in the chat says Tuesday it is as well. Bam, I would love to repeat what you wrote in the chat, but I can't do it because we're family friendly. But that being said, Chris Lafferty, you pointed out right now in the race for the Supporter Shield, it's a 10-way tie, so we got to keep pace with the other 9 clubs. That's fun. Look, it hasn't been pretty, folks. But look, Philly, Lafferty, we love March Madness more than anything else. And what's the mantra in March Madness? Survive in advance. They don't ask if you won pretty. They just ask if you won. So all I care about, Philly, all I care about, Lafferty, is that they'll be able to charge our credit card all the way up until the final and we win the damn thing this time.
Well, It's going to be a nice MLS paved road because we get by Columbus. We got another MLS opponent standing in the foreground. So, yay for MLS teams that we continue to compete against time and time again.
Yeah, there was, let me just double check. I'm pretty sure I'm right. A bit of an upset, right, today in the old CONCACAF. Herediano defeating Real Salt Lake 2-1. So Herediano moves on past RSL. Sounders took care of Antigua, and Cincinnati took care of Motagua. So it looks like everything else pretty much going according to who the favorites were. But I'd have to think that Real Salt Lake bowing out this early is at least a little bit of an upset, just a little bit.
I feel kind of bad. I guess for those that really follow the Canadian Premier League, I should just be maybe a little more optimistic because Cavalry FC is playing Inter Miami in the next round. Who knows? Maybe we compete against the Canadian Premier League team after we defeat the Columbus Crew.
Listen, I'll bet $10 on Cavalry FC because I can probably get 80-1 odds on that happening. So that would be great. Look, we've been talking for an hour and 11 minutes. It's been a fun triumvirate. Philly joined us about a half hour in. Chris Lafferty and I taking it from the top. This is episode 344 of Defenders of the Bank. We did obviously address all the remarks. If you want to go back and listen regarding what happened with Sergi Palencia and Chidozie Awazia, and we talked about that a bit. But Mark Delgado delivering amid a little bit of controversy. And we will be back at BMO on Saturday. Philly, will you be there?
Yes, I will.
Lafferty, will you be there?
I will be there, and I'll be wearing my cowboy hat. LAFC Rich has put out the invitation to anyone with their cowboy hats to come wear them. I know a few games ago for the Club America match, he brought in the Compton Cowboys, and he's doing a lot to really kind of bring the cowboy culture that's around Los Angeles area and get them involved with LAFC as well. So we'll see Cowboy Chris out there this Saturday too.
I absolutely love it, y'all. Philly,
German cowboy hat.
That Philly, that's not it.
It's an Oktoberfest hat. It's my version of a cowboy hat.
It's your sorting hat. I love it. All right, y'all. We will see everybody out there on Saturday. You know how we like to end each and every one of these episodes. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.